So that's for anything that's going to be on screen. The other, if you're going to prepare something to be printed professionally, whether it's a photograph or a brochure or a poster, whatever it is, you're going to want to use a different color mode, and that's CMYK. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, and that's like a kind of a light blue, pink, and then yellow and black, obviously. CMYK uses 4 colors to create this sort of, and different amounts of these 4 colors on top of each other to create all the different colors in the rainbow. And the reason CMYK is used for print, whereas RGB is used for anything on screen, is just the way that color is represented. On screen, this is light, different shades of light that are being passed through liquid crystal or whatever it might be. Whereas whenever you're getting something printed, it's always inks. So using CMYK to print things allows for a much wider range of colors in physical printing with inks than RGB would. And vice versa, on screen, RGB allows for a much wider range of colors than CMYK would. So that's just something to keep in mind about color spaces. And then there's other color spaces. There's lab color, there's indexed color, and those aren't as important, but they all have different things that they're good for. Indexed color is used a lot for GIFs or web clip art and things like that, buttons. But RGB, CMYK, and grayscale, those are the ones that I want you to know about and understand. And there's also, for the life of me, I have something in my brain that doesn't, that gets switched up. One of these, RGB is additive color and CMYK is subtractive color, or vice versa. I always, as a teacher, I should probably know this, but I always get them mixed up. And so you should know that too. Know which one's additive and which one's subtractive and what that means. Okay. As far as color modes, let's see. Anything else? Resolution is another big thing with pixel-based images. And resolution is basically how much information is in a document, and that's usually expressed in pixels per inch, which is PPI. You also hear people say DPI. That's what I always say, and that stands for dots per inch, which is the same thing. But pixels per inch, and that is it's exactly what you would think. It's how many little dots of color, because a pixel is just a color. It's just a flat color, and these pixels are so small that different colored pixels make up an image that you see from a distance. And you need higher resolution images, basically more pixels per inch for printed materials than you do for web materials. The standard resolution for web images is 72 dpi, or 72 pixels per inch, and that is that's how sharp a normal computer screen is. So if anything that's 72 dpi or above is going to look just fine on a computer screen or a TV or your iPhone, whatever that may be. For print, the general rule is 300 dpi, or 300 pixels per inch. It can go up to 4 or 450 or something, but that really gets a little redundant because you can only do so much. Your eye can only process so many pixels. But anyway, 300 is the general rule for print materials, and now that can change based on what it is. Generally when I'm talking about print materials, I'm referring to like a book or a brochure or a magazine or something like that you're going to hold right in front of your face as you look at it and read it. If you're designing a billboard, you don't need to have as many pixels per inch because people are going to be seeing that from a distance. So the pixels are going to look smaller. So you could take it down to maybe 150 pixels per inch for a billboard, something like that. But the main things you need to know is 72 dpi for web and screen graphics. Usually 300 dpi for print graphics, print photographs, and things like that. So let's see. We talked about color modes, resolution, file extensions, um, and Photoshop, sort of what it can do. And I've kind of gone over my time allotment. So I guess we'll stop there, and I'll pick up next week with Illustrator, InDesign, Acrobat, and then the web design programs, mainly Dreamweaver and Flash. And I'll talk about some of the other ones as well. So I am going to post some videos. You can see what the Photoshop interface looks like if you haven't seen that. And also, so read up on these programs. Wikipedia has a good page about each of these programs. The Adobe website probably has something that's going to be biased, believe it or not. But there's the internet has an abundance of information on these things. There's tutorials and examples. Well, I might post some examples of Photoshop art, Illustrator art, and InDesign art, things like that. I guess just Photoshop for this week. So that's all I got, and we'll get right into it. There won't be an introduction next time. I'm just going to start talking because we got a lot of ground to cover next week. So look into these programs and take some notes and do your homework and be good to go. All right, see ya.